Well, they approached me very, very nervously. I always think of myself as a very approachable woman, but I guess megastars are in a realm of their own, and it always upsets me a little when people grovel. And they did.
I was filming a treasure hunt and the call came through. I think it was 1987. I was in my 20s doing this series and I was so excited. It was a deeply big moment in my life.
It's rather like being made a dame. I remember going completely scarlet with excitement. There was nobody in the house to tell. I might have even gone out in the street a bit tragically, stopped the milkman and said, yeah, it's me, yeah.
It's something that you feel was always for someone else, And I thought it was a great privilege. When you are asked to be effigied in wax in such a place, you know that you are near the top of the ladder. And when you are taken out of Madame Tussauds, you know that you are several rungs lower down and the trajectory is downwards as against upwards.
Do this! Now do this! Super, big smile. Okay, excellent.
I like the fact that they put me next to Sophie Loren, so I thought that was very nice when the lights went out.
Madame Tussauds is the most popular tourist attraction in the UK. It is home to nearly 400 carefully selected wax celebrities. Each morning, before the doors of the exhibition open, the wax doubles of the famous are washed, dressed and coiffured, ready to meet their public. A wax star's working life is usually no more than 10 years. But there is a simple rule. If you stay famous, you stay in.
We've had this wig 20 years, over 20 years, and I think it's had its day, to be honest, so it's looking a bit frazzled.
I think it's awful by now. I haven't seen it lately. Is it bad? You'll be seeing it later just now. What's it look like? Does it look like me?
It does look like you.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, I think you'd be pleased with it.
Oh, well, if it's lasted all that time, perhaps it's better than the real thing has.
She used to be blonde at one stage, but she's gone a bit nicotine coloured, so it's difficult to maintain her. And the curls have gone out and just looks like a big fuzzball. But we'll do our best.
Mum, you were going to say that you didn't like it very much of yourself, but it was very good of the dog.
Oh yes, I'm saying.
Say that.
Yeah.
That
Yes, and of course where the picture is, the dog looks wonderful, and I don't look good at all. You do my best, but still, the dog is this is a different dog. But the dog I had at the time looks much more handsome than me. Now sit still.
Wasn't she done with her dog originally?
Yeah, she used to have a dog, but I think, if I'm right, it got nicked, and that was the end of that. So I've given her a book instead.
Was there ever any question that Madame Tussauds would portray you, Andrew Sachs, rather than Manuel?
No, I think that's of no interest to anybody. No, because I'm not a well-known enough face. I'm still fairly anonymous. I mean, I can walk down the street and not be noticed too much. But because Manuel is terribly famous anyway. They don't recognise me. If they do, they say, "Ke? Hey, did it hurt?" All that.
I don't do anything as Patsy, and so I didn't want to do her as Patsy. Also, I've done a lot of other things, and they wanted it to be Joanna Lumley and not Patsy, so it seemed sensible to have her. But I've noticed her hair's got a bit lighter and it's gone up. It's probably on its own, it's back combed itself up into a little bit of a beehive there. And Patsy never smiled like that. Patsy had an Elvis smile. Patsy just smiled like that. You know, so it's got my big cheesy grin. So it's half Lumley and half Patsy.
I prefer to appear wearing a suit and my suede shoes, but addressing the House of Commons from the dispatch box. But obviously, Madame Tussauds didn't want to do that. The idea they were going to show me in a kind of, George Canning declamatory mode, standing at the dispatch box, was not their idea of my image.
Which figures tend to get the most damage?
Oh, the ones down here in the garden party, because they're like the first figures public see, and they can really get in close to them, and they get the pictures taken and put their arms around them and pull off ears and fingers and things. It's just mad down here.
Bist du mir nun ganz ergeben? Oh, bin ich dir ganz ergeben? Nun so sei mein liebes Weibchen. Nun so sei mein Herz.
Happened to Chris Evans?
I just noticed his glasses are missing, so but they're like a pair of his own really heavy prescription ones, and so his eyes look really odd without them. Now screwed into the back of his head, but someone must have been a bit vigorous last night trying to steal them, so that's a bit bad.
The bit that you're in is called the garden party, and it's a sort of celebrity, it's meant to be like a party and all these people. What would it really be like?
It would be very, very good fun, especially Nigel and Lumley. Wicked it would be, you know what I mean? It would be a jumping party, you know what I mean? It'd be lots of laughs and a lot of dancing and a lot of fun. On my behalf anyway, not about their behalf.
You're in a bit called the garden party, which is kind of a celebrities party.
Tea and crumpets.
Next door to Paul Gascoigne.
Oh no. Can't I even have a bit of peace and quiet in there?
Bist du mir nun ganz ergeben? Oh, bin ich dir ganz ergeben? Nun so sei mein liebes Weibchen. Nun so sei mein Herzenstäubchen. Mein liebes Weibchen, mein Herzenstäubchen. Welche Freude wird das sein? Welche Freude wird das sein? Wenn die Götter uns verdenken. Wenn die Götter uns verdenken. Unsere liebe Kinder schenken. Unsere liebe Kinder schenken. Zu lieben kleinen Kinderlein. Kinderlein.
Just going to run through the itinerary of what we're going to do today. As you can see, we're on the way down the M1. We should be at Tussauds about 12:15. We would like you to be back on the coach at 4 o'clock. And from then we will be carrying back to St Albans, where we'll be stopping for a pub for a light beverage.
Es ist das höchste der Gefühle. Es ist das höchste der Gefühle. Es ist das höchste der Gefühle. Wenn viele, viele Eltern singen werden sein. Eltern singen werden sein.
Goldberg. Now, what's he doing there?
Madame Tussauds asked their visitors which new stars they'd like to see in wax. A new recruit must be popular enough to justify the £30,000 it will cost to create them.
Linford Christie, Ronaldo. No, that's the name that keeps coming up. Gaza. Got Gaza. Junior Wade. Ollie McCoist. I'm going to suggest him because I like him. There's no Michael... Michael Owen. There we go. Steve Davis. We did have Steve Davis, but he's gone now.
What is it you're preparing for?
Portraits meeting this afternoon. I'm trying to look for suggestions to discuss really with the other people in the committee. So
it's nice to go armed with ideas. Committee meetings are great because there's no set criteria. We don't think, okay, we need 10 footballers, we need 10 TV stars. It's quite loose. So a lot of it's gut feeling, and a lot of it's, well, I fancy Brad Pitt, so I think we should make a figure of him. And if you argue UK strongly enough, then eventually they'll come round. I mean, that's what we're here for, to kind of see who's famous or not.
Who do you think is the most beautiful, glamorous, handsome person in the world? The most beautiful, glamorous, handsome person.
Well, it was Di. It was Di, I think.
Yes,
I can still say.
We ask visitors questions like, who is your favourite politician? Who is your favourite sports person? Who do you most hate and fear? Who is the ultimate superstar from the past or present? And some people are just enduring. I think Elvis always comes up over the years. Margaret Thatcher, either
for
as
about the last 11 years.
Favourite politician. She figures usually in favourite politician and most hated and feared for a while, just after the 80s. Saddam Hussein, for the first time 3 years ago, overtook Adolf Hitler as most hated and feared. But I think it's going to be Hitler again this year by the looks of it.
Who do you think is the most famous person who ever lived?
Churchill. Yes, I think.
Churchill, Winston Churchill.
Yes,
yeah, go on, Winston Churchill.
Do you feel that you have these people's, the real people's fates in your hand?
Absolutely.
Good morning. Good morning.
In London, Madame Tussauds is as renowned for its queue as for its waxworks. Each year, 3 million people, most of them foreigners, join the line.
Should be open very shortly.
Why do people queue for 2 hours, 2.5 hours?
Because they queue for the Hard Rock Cafe as well. There are some things that's a required thing to do. You don't just go in. You want to queue on the pavement, go, oof, and then you stand there and you've got a little bit of a thermos flask and you shuffle along and you go, brr, and it's terribly windy, that street. This whole part of it. You could actually go around it quite quickly, but you want to have the whole morning there, so you want a queue. You want to have a good queue. Also, I think that psychologically, if you've queued for something, you go, queue is fantastic, it's right round, we are half an hour, and then you've really had a good time. If you just walk in, you go, why are we here? Nobody else wants to be here. So I think a queue is probably quite good.
I think people rather connect the queue and Madame Tussauds. Of course, some people just don't want to queue, and I have to say to them, well, in England everybody queues. And if they really want to know from this point how long they're going to queue, very small, you see where it says goods in there, it's an hour from there. And from the corner here, it's about 45 minutes, give or take. I always say it's our greatest advert. In fact, if people come along and they see no queue, they're rather disappointed. They think they're missing out on something. Well, on the other side of the road, can you see the London Transport offices? The queues very often run to there, and from there it's roughly 2 hours. I'm always hoping that one day we'll reach the park gates. That'll be quite something.
It's one of the things you do in London. That's why people say, hey, everybody in England stands in line. Why? And you go, we don't ever stand in line. Nobody stands in the other. No, you stand in line when you come here, because you have to queue, you poor devils, to go into Madame Tussauds.
Good morning. Yeah, tickets just up the stairs.
Two for Madame Tussauds, madam, yeah? 1950, please. Would you like any guidebook, madam?
Yeah.
Deutsch, yeah?
Yeah.
German, yeah?
Anybody to buy tickets, pay boxes upstairs?
The book is in French also? We can get it in French, yeah? Would you like one? Yes, sure.
Is there anyone you particularly like to see?
Jimmy Savile, of course. I haven't met him, yes, yeah. And I don't know, I'd like to see what Mick Jagger looks like.
How he used to be?
How he used to be, yeah.
We need more young, attractive women. This is the thing. Who's in hello?
There's Cameron Diaz.
She's on the list.
Yeah.
She's doing really well.
It's a nice helpful picture, everybody's back.
Prince Charles, we need to do an updated figure of. Probably next year. He doesn't look as though he's aged, actually, does he? He looks good for 50. We're probably all right for another year for Charles.
Yeah. Sandra Bullock.
She would be good. Very glamorous. What's she doing at the moment?
They say that they choose people who have what they call star quality.
Yeah. What is star quality?
That's my question, really.
Yeah, well, I would like to answer that, but I don't know what is star quality, you know. We all duckers and divers, some are chosen more than others and some are up there more than others, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings at the end of the day. I don't know what they mean by star quality. I don't really understand what they mean by that, but if it's a compliment, I thank them for it. It's wicked, making me blush.
The Songs from Ally McBeal is like number 2 or 3 in the album charts. It's doing really well. If we caught her at the right time, she'll probably just get more and more famous. That's the problem, is trying to get somebody on their way up ideally for us, just before they hit their peak, and then we can say, oh well, we made her, 2 months ago. That the danger is then that you're, 6 months down the line, the figure's ready, and they haven't had a hit film or a hit single or whatever.
Celebrity is a kind of word, now. We used to be called famous actors in the old days. You were an actor, or you were a famous actor, or you were a star. But now the word celebrities come in, and I don't quite know what it means. Because it sort of half mixes up with people who are in Hello magazine. And they half think that all of filming is just fun, as if we just go on and do it and go, fun, it's all been a party. When everybody knows it's quite a slog.
There are celebrities who have been created by the media, and when you meet them, they're a little bit dull. And let's face it, you in your job would meet a lot of famous people, and some of them can be a wee bit boring.
Right, we are just pulling up now to Swords. So, if I could tell you now, if you can be back on the coach for 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. That means Annie, the big hand's on the 12, and the small hand is on the 4.
Otherwise they keep us in.
They keep you in.
Have you got anybody who's not too good on the stairs, sir?
There's lots of stairs where it's not too bad, because they're all pretty mobile, reasonably mobile.
Pretty healthy to me.
Okay.
Get a drink in here, Jean. Look, now here, Manuel.
Throw money in.
Get a drink there.
I'm not quite sure why people go there, although I always recommend it to people. It is interesting. And I suspect a lot of the public go round and just seeing if people look in 3D, how they think they look on television. And usually their comments are, oh, I didn't think he was that tall, or I didn't think he was that short, or I didn't think he was that fat, or whatever it may be.
Oh, Jane! Jane!
Come to this angle, look, Jane.
Annie, look!
This side.
Well, don't touch. Don't touch. Derek, don't.
I bet you Dan. I bet you Dan. Go on.
That's very good though. So nice, Lloyd. I think it's bigger than that.
Are you allowed to touch the...
Yes, you are.
Are you?
People do grow.
Well, I'm a tactile kind of a person, and I don't mind being tastefully groped. I mean, that is to say, nicely and caringly touched.
I want to know what they do wear underneath, June.
What they got underneath, Jane? Really? Yes, it's really.
Sounds quite jolly, really, I think. I think that would be natural, and I think that's the right thing to do if you're going to get meeting and a togetherness and feeling of something or someone you know who often is on the television, which means often in your front room. There is a sort of that person knows you anyway, and often sometimes people say, oh, hello to me, and actually don't really realise where they know me from, but they know me, and I've done that to other people as well, and then you realise, oh, I thought it was the bloke down my street, but of course it's not, is it? It's him, you know.
Audrey? Audrey, don't
She's
keep
great
wandering off
actress.
from
She's
me.
really good. Really laugh at her, really do.
When a star is no longer famous, it usually signals the end for their wax double. But occasionally, celebrities are given a second bite at the cherry.
Kylie's coming in this afternoon to unveil her figure, so I've got to just put the final touches to the figure and just all the details on there, so it just looks like her, really.
Can a waxwork capture the essence of somebody, do you think?
I doubt it, you know, I mean, they can nice you up and sparkles and different things like that, but when you go near, it's as good as real, but you can still see it's a waxwork. Nothing can beat the real thing, can it?
I think more than anything you've got to get the eyes right. I think if you don't get people's eyes right, nothing's going to look right. And then after that, the mouth.
I'd done quite warm colours on the chest. Well, the wax was very warm.
Yes.
And I just sort of made her quite porcelain-like, but she was very yellow.
Of course, the lights downstairs tend to make things more yellow anyway, so the warmer the portrait is, the better in the long run. And in looking at it, I think you've done a lovely job on the face and the bosom.
The detail is incredible. You'd think, well, they get it roughly right, no one's going to notice, but they know that they do put the models under extreme scrutiny.
My one concern, I think, is the warmth. Warmth of the limbs, and just getting that to see what that looks like in the lights downstairs. But the rest of it's looking very good. Little pink toes.
Pink knees.
So I think it's ready to go into the exhibition. Well done.
I think they'll be, She quite steady. All right. Thanks, Rosie.
Where the people meet the people. I was in the back of a bus, you know. You know these lovely ones they have when you can see through them from the inside, but on the outside it looks like a photograph. I was up there. President Clinton was on one side of me, and I think Sly Stallone was on the other. He was smiling away at the top of the bus. I've got a photograph of it.
Der Vogelfänger bin ich ja stets lustig, heiser Hauptsassa. Ich Vogelfänger bin bekannt, bei alt und jung im ganzen.
Sorry, say that again. The what? The small lettered people, lowercase people.
Where the lowercase people meet the uppercase people.
A load of rubbish. Yeah, I suppose we all like to gawp, don't we? It's like the people who go to premieres and watch the stars arrive. I've done a bit of that myself.
I've seen him, said that, when we went to Rome. No, he has a, they open the window and they give a message, don't they? We went to Rome, only from a distance.
I remember seeing Cary Grant once. Remember Cary Grant? And I saw him in the canteen, and I was deeply disappointed. That's Cary Grant, but wait a minute, he's only life-size, and he's in colour. I'm used to seeing him in black and white. There's something wrong here. But nevertheless, I still remember that moment after 30 years. It must be 30, maybe 40 years ago I saw this. And I still remember seeing Cary Grant. So there is that's where the glamour of show business it comes in. It is very intoxicating. But I felt the same if first time I saw a rhinoceros in Africa.
Mr. T!
Oh, that's what we call a man, isn't it? But he's not very tall, is he?
He looks mean, doesn't he? Looks mean, mean.
The Star Chamber meet in secret to decide which new celebrities to cast into wax. Only a handful are chosen each year. When the new conscripts emerge after months in the making, they pose a sinister threat to the old guard. The fame conveyor belt means that for every wax person born, another must die.
Heck really close. Heck really close to heck.
Kylie, just down the front.
Eyes this way, down here, down the front, Kylie. Imagine right outside, please, Kylie. Give yourself a kiss.
I remember I went along with my husband, and it was a very surreal thing because I'm hanging on a rope ladder, and as one is, you know, and all the press are going, "Go on, Annika, up the rope ladder. Can you both look to the camera?" And I was going, "Hang on a second, you know, this is a dummy."
Charlie, to the waving hand, yeah? Just one to the waving hand, yeah?
What's the best feature?
She doesn't say a word.
Then I had my photograph taken as well with the model, and it was quite eerie, really. It was strange, you know. Which one's me? Even I don't know.
It's like looking at yourself sitting up out of a coffin. Ooh, very peculiar. There you go. Huh? I'm dead, and I'm still here. Oh.
Let's get you next to the
And then MTV, yeah.
So you happy with the similarities between you and your new model?
Yeah, it's bizarre looking at her eye to eye.
The most astonishing thing about all this is that for the first time in your life you can see three-dimensionally what you must be like to come up behind. Now, on film, you do know what you look like from all angles, but you don't know three-dimensionally what it would be like to come up behind you and tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hello, Joanna." And that was extraordinary, to see what you look like from there.
So what do you think of the new Kylie?
Every time someone asks me that, I turn to look at her and I get lost for words. I think she looks good.
What's happened to the older one?
The older one apparently is being put away.
Where?
Resting in a dark cupboard.
It's sad, isn't it? Can you imagine going there one day and not finding yourself? And finding you'd been melted down and turned into ginger spice?
There we go.
Yep.
Let's go.
Michael Owen! We're doing Michael Owen, which is great. And Gerhard Schroeder is the new German Chancellor. And that's it for this meeting. Nobody to be taken out. We have got to do something about Gaza though, because he's portrayed as he was in about 1990. So we've got to think about whether we do a new Gaza or take the old Gaza out.
What year was that done?
1990, isn't it? 90,
Well, it's not that long ago, it's still 8 years. Still aged 8 years.
How long do you think you'll be in there?
Oh, I've got no idea. I actually wasn't sure whether I was still in there now. It's only that I was told the other day when we said we was going to do the interview. So I didn't know.
Does it?
Well, you got some information. You want to break something to me, do you?
Did you know when they'd taken you out? Did they tell you?
I'm still in. Somebody saw me last week.
I think, unfortunately, there'd be a bit of a riot if they melted me down.
Have I been melted down? I'm not sure what has actually happened to me. I shall have to find this out.
I think I'm still clinging on, otherwise you wouldn't be talking to me. I'm still there, aren't I?
Jean, you'll end up here beheaded if you're not careful.
When the time comes for a star to be taken out of the main exhibition, the head is sometimes allowed to live on in a special gallery for the gone but not yet forgotten.
Oh, look at Jimmy Savile, he's in here now. Oh, did you? Oh dear. I thought it'd be in a place of honour. Did you still? Oh.
Beth, I've got some good news, possibly. We're doing Michael Owen and Gerhard Schroeder, and there's something else. We're going to redress Nelson Mandela in this funky top. Hey! Instead of the boring suit that he's in now.
No, she didn't look like her photos and that, and on telly when she's doing her modelling that. She didn't look nothing like. Because I had to read her name to see that she was, you know, it was Naomi years to come.
model, Jack. One side of Ian Botham didn't appear to be right. The other side was very good.
Sorry.
May we have some more tea, please? Thank you.
Linford Christie was it?
Oh, Linford Christie.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Do you know what happens to people when they're deselected from the exhibition?
Well, is that a political term or a diplomatic term, deselected? What you mean is they melt them down when they've had enough of them, is that what you mean?
They don't actually do that, they behead them.
Oh, that's not very nice. I thought they just melted it down the wax and used it again.
They cut their heads off, don't they? What, with an axe or with a hot knife? They showed me some heads they got in boxes. I'm so afraid of it all. I'd hate to have my head cut off.
Head's still there.
Is it? Oh, thank you very much. It's like Henry VIII, he locked up all his wives' heads and he kept them in a corner or in a cupboard, so I'm there somewhere. I'm in Madame Tussauds. Thank you very much.
Now the
heads. Well, J.R. was one. He wasn't a head when I knew him. Daly wasn't a head. And he wasn't a head. Jimmy Savile, Steve Davis wasn't. And Liza Minnelli, Terry Wogan wasn't. If they kept all of them, they wouldn't have space to put new ones. So I think the time is up.
But Helmut Kohl, are they removing him? Because that's the question I'm being asked.
Depends when we get a sitting with Gerhard Schroeder. I think we should keep him in, and then the PR story is wheeling Gerhard in and taking Kohl out the exit door.
Is his plaque changed at all yet?
Shh, we need to check, because it's his ex, or Chancellor from until...
Just as when I became Chancellor of the Exchequer, I knew one thing was absolutely certain only, that I'd one day be an ex-Chancellor of the Exchequer. When I went to Madame Tussauds, who was modelled in wax, I knew one thing was certain only, one day the wax head would be melted down. One reason why I don't put too high a price on fame.
I do hope they don't write and say we're going to be cutting your head off. What if so much my spirit was in it that when they did it, I just went, like that, and knew when it happened. And then suddenly gouts of blood began pouring from my neck, and I'm in the middle of doing a charity thing. I'm going, I now declare this, and suddenly it's when they've cut my neck off. God, I hope they don't tell me.
There is another place, even beyond the display of heads, that signals the final demise.
Well, where'd the heads go?
Into a big cupboard.
Oh, do they? Can't have them back or anything? That's how life normally is, isn't it, at the end? You go in a big cupboard.
Fame's abstract. Fame sort of nibbles at you, then it bites you, then it swallows you, then it digests you, and then it blows you out the other end, doesn't it? You don't stay famous for very long.
Oh, I don't know what famous is. Famous, infamous, well-known. There are all kinds of words which people use. They want you to wrap it up in Christmas paper. And I'm afraid Madame Tussauds are better at that than me.
I think the whole idea of famous was so freaky that you think if you stop working you're going to, of course, cease to become famous, but it just doesn't go away. You are locked in people's minds as some 22-year-old in a pink jumpsuit.
It's nice people respect you and like you, but it doesn't really bother me because I'm not going to get carried away and be on that bandwagon or on that ego trip, because that ego trip can play funny games and make you do funny things.
Now I've got to make sure I pronounce this properly. Gerhard Schroeder.
You all want to be famous. Who doesn't want to be famous? You want to be famous because you've got something to give to the world. You give your heart, you give your soul, you give your brain. You give that to the world and you hope that people will say thank you for it.
Mr. Gerhard Schroeder.
Herr
Gerhard Schroeder.
We are a complex creation, and we're the past and the future and the present mingling, and we're precious. And I think that's the beauty of Madame Tussauds, because it shows these historical figures as precious objects.
Chancellor, yeah, I think that's...
We know he's Chancellor, but is that his title, as in...
Chancellor Schroeder.
Chancellor Schroeder. Good afternoon, I wonder if you can help me. I'm calling from Madame Tussauds in London, and we would like to send a letter to Chancellor Schroeder. Who should we write to? Should we write...
Well, if you write to him personally, then it's Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder.
Excellent. Okay, thanks for your help.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Right, we have a letter here and it says, Dear Jim, please would you fix it for me to stay famous so that my portrait can stay in Madame Tussauds? Yours sincerely, Joanna Lumley. Of course, Joanna.
Okay. Excitement over.
The dog, gosh, Shep. We've got to find Shep. Where is he? I know where I am. I've been boiled down. It's not a very good ending, is it?
When you smiling, the whole world smiles with you, baby. Oh, when you laughing, babe, when you laughing, the sun comes shining through.